Hi everybody and welcome to Permaculture Malaga. Today we are going to complete our analysis by looking at microclimates and doing a water audit. It's been quite a while since I've posted a video, and without boring you with all the details and making up lame excuses, I'll just give you an overview of what sort of happened this year. First, we plan to do our Zone 1 this year. That was our major plan, and we sort of started doing that, but quickly realized that we had to finish Zone 0, getting the daily things that we use and do in the house finished. But that changed again when reality hit and the department of making you feel sad knocked on our door. So we have been having a year full of bureaucracy, and we have been dealing with bureaucracy regarding to our house, regarding to taxes, regarding to our kids, our car, my work, health insurance. Currently we have 2 cases running in the court. We have several sets of documents that we need but can't obtain, and it's just been a year full of bureaucracy. So even though we changed our plans to go to Zone 0, we actually haven't finished everything there yet, and it just makes you feel very, very tired doing all this bureaucracy, and it really drains the resources. So I simply haven't had any energy to make any videos, which is not an excuse, it's just an explanation. Every week there's been new stuff coming in. Once we thought we had dealt with something, then something new came along. I think I would like to quote Mollison, even though I can't find the exact quote in the manual, and maybe it's one of those quotes that circulates on the internet but doesn't exist in reality. It's paraphrased, it's something along the lines of, we should have one final meeting in our governmental institutions, and that is to shut them down. That's paraphrasing, and I don't even know if it's a Mollison quote, because I couldn't look it up even though I tried. A lot of people have requested some updates on how things are going with the plants and the soils and the things we've been doing. And as I just said, we haven't really been doing anything much in outside the house. So I didn't really think there was anything to talk about. But then I sort of thought about it, and there are several things that we can show you that have been fairly successful.
If we look at the swales we dug on our first terrace, the first one we did, which you can see in some of the videos back, you can see that it has been accumulating quite a bit of mulch down in the terraces. And if we, oh, there's a bit of garbage there. If we take a closer look at the mulch and see how is the soil underneath, you can see here that it's moist, and it has a slight bit of depth to it. This is all stuff that's been accumulating and washing down. If you look at the sunny bowl that we built, first of all you can see the apron has been all overgrown with weeds, which is a good thing. They'll hold on to the soil. And looking into the sunny ball itself, you will also see that it's been accumulating a bit of debris coming from all the way up here. And this is not just leaves and dead plant material. This is also a bit of dirt washing down, which now gets caught here in the sunny ball and slowly building up a layer. I'll show you in the big one how that works later. Our one rock dams that were some of the first things we built, if you look at one of the very first videos, have also been working. You can see the mulch layer inside the one rock dam is starting to build up, and all kinds of litter and debris is accumulating here. Leaves, twigs, whatever. Now, the one rock dams don't stop that much water. The water still passes through or over, but what they do is they do accumulate the debris, and that slowly builds up. Looking at the sunny ball in front of the road where the arroyo is, you can see it has also been accumulating quite a bit of material. And this is silt and dirt and debris washing down through the arroyo and ending up here. And there's quite a lot of it, as you can see, and it also has some moisture to it. And I can't even dig all the way down to the original bottom of the bowl with my hand here. And slowly this will build up and fill the bowl, and then we can build another one around that once this one gets filled up. Somewhere down here. Our rainwater garden, which collects the water from the terrace, has been growing nicely. As you can see, the tomatoes have been taking over almost all of it and almost squashing out all the other plants growing here. The lower terrace beneath the house was covered in pumpkins during the entire summer. Unfortunately, I didn't get a shot of the pumpkins as the plants were growing, but you can see the harvest here.
So all in all, I'll just leave you with some general thoughts here. The theory of permaculture is really easy. I mean, when you read the books, when you watch the videos, when you listen to the conferences and so on, it all sounds really easy and great, but the praxis of it is difficult. It's really hard. Take gray water systems, for example. You can read how to design and build these things, and then you have a tank that may be leaking, a pipe that doesn't work the way you're supposed to, and something gets stuck there and you didn't implement some method of cleaning the whole system. In my opinion, there's something lacking in permaculture, like permaculture implementation course or something similar to that. I know Darren Dorothy does his agrarian thing, and you can do the holistic management courses, and I think those get quite close to doing some kind of implementation, but really there could be more in that space. And also you can't just outsource tasks to other people, just throw money at the problem, so to speak, and say like, do this for me. There is no, I can't look in the yellow pages, there's no local, gray water systems guy. There is no local composting toilet guy. There is no local soil amendment guy. So let's get on with today's subject, microclimates. What are they? Well, microclimates are what makes it possible to grow oranges in the Alps or ferns here in the subtropics. Generally speaking, microclimates are areas which have a measurably different climate than the generally surrounding climate of the area. They can come in all sizes and shapes. but typically you'll have something that is slightly warmer in cold climates, or something that has more shade in subtropical climates, or less shade, more sun in temperate climates. And they can be natural, and you can actually construct them. Now, what we're looking for in our analysis are the microclimates that appear naturally um, on your land.
That's a very broad definition, and I think the best way to illustrate it is to give you some examples. For instance, the north-facing slope will be much more shady and cool than a south-facing slope. Or a dam will be warmer in winter because it's the body of water. Or you could have an urban area where you have the heat island effect and receive much more heat. Some examples from our own land would be this carob tree, which provides completely different shade and soil conditions underneath it, as you can see here. Or, even though this is a south-facing terrace, you can see that the small bed behind it is actually on a north-facing wall and receives a lot of shade most of the year. Whether or not you want to include these as written or as graphics on your analysis depends on the size of the land you're analyzing and also on the amount of microclimates that you're looking at.
The final thing we need for our analysis is a water audit. A water audit is a calculation of how much water do we receive, what is our longest drought periods, and how much water can we then use. And we do this because we want to know how much water do we have available. Because if we use more water than we have available, more water than we receive, we're starting to tap into resources, and that is unsustainable and cannot continue forever. So we need to also look at where can we reduce our water usage, where can we reuse water, and how much storage do we need.
So, the first thing we need to look at is our climate data again. And particularly we're interested in the precipitation. Now, as you can see, I have the data back to 1973 and I've calculated the average of that. I've also done the average over the last 10 and 5 years, and that is significantly higher than the general average, which is 546 millimeters. If you don't have the climate data back, the historical data, many places you can look up the average rainfall, which will be okay in most cases if you're, for instance, in a temperate climate or so on. But if you look over here, in our case, on the graph of the precipitation, you remember that it was very irregular from year to year, and I suggested there might be a pattern in this. Now, if you use that number, 546, you will see that most years, that would be about the trend line here, and you'll see that most years will actually fall below that trend line. So those years, you won't have that much water available. And I don't think in this case it's the best metric to use to do your calculations. Now, if you have a regular rainfall pattern year by year, that's fine. But in a climate like this, where it's that irregular, I don't think it's the best number to use. Instead, I have done a calculation on the median value. The median value is the value at which half of the points will be above and half of the points will be below. Now that's 450, and that will be around here. And obviously half of the years will be above and half will be below. And I think that's a better value to use if you have an irregular rainfall pattern. Because what you're doing this for is your own water usage, and you don't want to be cut short most years of how much water you have available. Obviously, in a climate like this, you also need to take into consideration that the years where you get a lot of water, you want to store more, and you need to take that into account with your storage needs. But for a general calculation, as we're doing here, we'll just take the numbers as they are. I'm going to use the median number. You can use your average if that's more suited for your climate. The next thing you'll need is your roof area. Now, if you have a plan of your house, you can easily calculate that. Usually you'll probably have a square house and it's quite easy to calculate. Or if as in our case here, you've had an architect do a draw of your house, you'll be so lucky as to have the area written here. The last thing you need to calculate are your storage needs. Now, these depend on two numbers. As I said before, you can do them a bit more elaborate if you have an erratic rain pattern, but I'm just going to do a general version here. First, you need to figure out how much water do you use. Now, if you're living in a westernized city and living a normal modern industrial life, you will probably find that you are using about 200-300 liters of water per person per day. Now, how do you find this out? If you're on some form of municipal water system, you take your water bill for the whole year, add all the numbers together and divide it by people in the household and divide it by 365 days for a year, and you'll see how many liters of water you're using on average per day. And as I said, most modern people in the Western world in a city are probably 200, maybe 300 liters a day. Now, you can use and live for 45 liters of water a day. That is more than adequate to live a normal, comfortable lifestyle. So there is an exercise here in how do you reduce your water consumption. But first you need to know what it is. Currently, our water consumption is about 49 liters of water per person per day, and that does include irrigation around the house in the summer months. You shouldn't include irrigation into this equation, it's only what you use for yourself. So I think we're about the 45 liter target. And that includes everything you use in your household, to drink, to clean, to wash, everything. Now, once you have that number, I'm just going to put in here 45 liters a day. Then you need to look at what is the longest drought period that you have. Now, the graph you're looking at right here is the average for the last 5 years. The blue lines down at the bottom are the precipitation per day. And as you can see, at the end of May and almost all the way through to September 1st, we get next to nothing. And I wouldn't include 1 millimeter of rain, because what you can catch from that is next to nothing. So looking at this, I would say from July 1st to September 1st, we don't really have any rain. So that's 3 months. Now, 45 liters a day, let's do the calculation. For 3 months, and let's just put in 30 days here, and we're 4 people in the household, comes up to 16,200 liters. So your water tank needs to be at least 16,200 liters to get you through that drought period. Now, as I said before, if you have erratic water rainfall patterns, you're probably going to need a bigger tank or some different storage systems. But this is really the minimum number, what you use times the longest drought period. So you do the calculations with your numbers and your precipitations. Ours is 16,200.
So that concludes the series on the analysis. I hope it has been educational. I hope you've learned something. I hope it's been interesting. I would love to hear from you. Please leave comments here on YouTube or on our blog about what you like, what you didn't like, things you want to see more of, things you think I should cover. I will do a series on design, but I think I might do some episodes first about other subjects and then do a design series. But let me know what you think, and I hope to put out a video again soon.